Alrighty, folks. Today we are going to be comparing the Rhino resin cleaner to Denatured Alcohol. And our test subjects over here, it's going to be a couple prints from War Machine. So we're going to clean those up and compare them side by side. So, Rhino cleaner. What do we know about it? Well, not much. It's been showing up all over my feed. They've been talking about it's a lot more environmentally friendly. It doesn't stink, supposedly. You know, yada yada. Not as hazardous as the other stuff. I've never really liked using IPA. That's why I've always used Denatured Alcohol. Denatured Alcohol I have found to be an amazing cleaner. I thought it was far superior to IPA. The problem, much like IPA and some other things, is just that it stinks. So anyways, so what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get these prints off of here. You can see these, there's some big goopy boys there. But yeah, we're going to get those guys into respective cleaners. I'll get them off of their supports and then into there. So first thing I think I'm going to do before we get those guys off is let's go ahead and get some of this prepped up. So the directions for this Rhino cleaner basically say rinse it twice. I know in some other videos we've done the two rinse, like one initial rinse in one of these and then into the final bath. I'm going to do it the way I normally do it, unless when I'm in a hurry, and that's like I'm just going to do one initial bath for each of these and see how it turns out. It won't quite be an apples to apples comparison because I'm going to be playing with this Rhino cleaner for quite a while and want to really put it through some paces. So it's going to actually go into the cleaning station, and then in the pickle shaker, I guess you'd call it, I'm going to actually put Denatured Alcohol. Because like I said, I'm looking for a substitute to get away from some of the other chemicals like Denatured Alcohol, IPA, things like that. Just because it stinks. So let me go ahead and get that prepped. So when we get the stuff in here, we'll wash in here for 5 minutes. Then we'll wash in here for 5 minutes. For the other one, we'll do a side-by-side comparison and see how the two look, and then just kind of go from there. And like I said, hopefully we get some good results here and kind of go from there. So there you go. I'm shaking up the isopurple here, not isopurple. Bleh. I had that on the brain. Denatured Alcohol. So shaking up some of the denatured in here. This is the one that we got, and then over in there we have our Rhino just going to town. Like I said, I'm curious to see how this is going to end up. So we're done with the shaking and the moving. So this one is our Denatured Alcohol. So go ahead and kind of shake that bad boy off. Doesn't look too bad right now. We'll go ahead and sit it there to dry, because drying will be the tail of the tape, so to say. And this bad boy, now I will note there is very little discoloration to the Rhino stuff. Go ahead and sit that bad boy down there. So this doesn't look too bad. It's a little sheeny. Get that there to dry. So there is very low odor, almost no odor with the Rhino stuff, so that's pretty cool so far. Now it's just a matter of it drying and kind of going from there. I can tell you this, that the so far the denatured alcohol is drying a lot faster. Like I could probably, yeah, you can see how, let me see, I'm trying to focus. Let me take one of these gloves off so I can actually tap the camera here. So you can see denatured alcohol's getting pretty dry already. Whereas the Rhino, stop. The Rhino's still pretty wet there. So there's definitely a difference in dry time. This does look pretty clean though. But like I said, we'll see how it ends up drying out. We'll come check on that here in a bit and see how it's doing. Alrighty. So we're back. I've done a few things here to try to expedite the process. So we'll start off with this here. First off, this is our water alcohol, denatured alcohol, and focus. There we go. It's nice, and I can say what was really cool about this is, like I said, this is not cured yet. It's just been cleaned and dried. I think it turned out really well, as expected, and it took about 5 minutes to dry. That's one of the bonuses to that substance. So I'll set that there because we'll end up curing that. This is the Rhino. So it's clean. There wasn't the odor. Like I said, it turned out real well for being clean. This did not dry in 5 minutes. I'm going to tell you that right now. If time is something that you're concerned about with trying to crank these out and you don't want to wait, you know, you're going to wait for this stuff. But it did turn out, you can look and see it's pretty clean. Still a couple damp spots here and there. I did end up taking a paper towel to it and then kind of sitting it on a fan a little bit to try to get some of that to dissipate. We want to cure these guys and see how they end up turning out cured. So we baked those pretty good there. Alright, so let's take a look. First, our one for the denatured alcohol. Get a little more light here. There we go. So like I said, this is fully cured. Like I said, I got to clean it up a little more. I usually clean up a lot of the little supports afterwards, but it's not bad. Actually, it's really nice. So there's that. Then we have our one in Rhino. So again, there are some little wet spots in there. You can see a couple kind of here and there in the creases. But it looks nice. It looks real nice overall. It's real clean. And you can see, like, up here by the shoulder, there's some of that liquid I was telling about. You know, just probably have to let it dry a little more next time. Like I said, I got a little impatient. So, yeah. But overall, not bad. Like I said, I like the way it turned out. There's not the smell or anything, like with the denatured alcohol. So, my final thoughts so far, because I'm going to start doing a lot of prints here and really hammering these out and seeing how they turn out. But it looks like this is something that printing with this stuff is going to take a little longer, you know, in the cleanup process. And my final thoughts are, do you sacrifice speed that you have with the drying time for a lack of smell, something that's less hazardous. That's a personal choice. Like I said, I'm going to beat up the Rhino cleaner for a while. I'm going to see how it does, and there'll be a follow-up video. You know, because it's going to take a little more time, and I want to do some more testing. But like I said, if it ends up being safer for me in the long run, the little bit of extra time might be worth it. Because let's be honest, as much as I want to say I'm in a hurry to get the prints done and ready, I have a box of gray right now. Like I have my pile of shame is because I print. I don't paint as much as I print. So it could be a moot point. But anyways, guys, drop a comment. Let me know what you think. And if you'd like to see me do something else test-wise with this stuff, yeah, let me know. Talk to you later. Peace.